about using agency money to continue paying the salary of a member of her staff. Foxhoven says he first tried to speak with the governor.
Several months before this occurred, I sent her, the governor, a text asking to meet with her and talk to her privately and said it could be very short, and I never even got a response to it.
He says he did discuss the matter with the governor's chief of staff shortly before he was terminated.
The bottom line is I had a phone conversation with her, and I made it very clear that I questioned whether it was legal or not.
Foxhoven says the legislature set aside money to pay for a new staff member in the governor's office, and he was concerned he lacked the authority to divert money from DHS operations to continue paying a member of the governor's staff.
If they're saying that they're denying that I told them I had concerns about that and that I was going to the Attorney General's office, then they're not telling the truth.
Foxhoven's lawyer will first file a claim with the Iowa Appeals Board, alleging that his client was retaliated against and forced from his job because he was a whistleblower. His attorney says it's unlikely the state will offer a settlement, and he expects to file a lawsuit against the governor, her chief of staff, her legal counsel, and the state of Iowa in early 2020. Governor Reynolds has said Foxhoven was dismissed for a lot of reasons, and she wants the agency to go in a new direction. Foxhoven, who is an attorney, says he's looking for his own next adventure working for a nonprofit group. The Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program will be having its third annual Teed Off Against Violence golf tournament fundraiser tomorrow at Lakeside Municipal Golf Course here in Fort Dodge. The tournament also will feature a silent auction. It'll have a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Here's Marie Harvey from the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program on the objective of the event.
The whole goal is to raise funds and awareness that benefit the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program. We serve 15 counties in north central Iowa, and so the money that we raise goes back to providing services for survivors that have been affected by homicide or any other violent crime.
For more information or to register, call Marie or Heather at 515-955-5677. That's 515-955-5677. The 5th annual Leapers Legacy Memorial Ride in memory of Jordan Leaper will be tomorrow. Registrations from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at Gridiron in Webster City. Kickstands up at 11 a.m. It's $20 for single rider, $30 per couple. Stops will include Webster City, Lehigh, Luther, Ziering, Williams, and Clarion. There'll be silent and live auctions and raffles. All proceeds will go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund. Here's Brian Dayton with the Memorial Ride on Jordan's legacy.
5 years ago, Jordan Leaper was killed in a car accident. We're continuing on his legacy. We're going to end at Fuel in Clarion with food and DJ entertainment. That's where we're going to have a live and silent auction. All the proceeds go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund, and also there's money that's donated to Upper Des Moines for underprivileged youth. Jordan was an employee at Fuller Hall. He loved his job. He's good at it. Always had a smile on his face. If you can't make the ride, at least try and make it to Fuel. It should be about 5:30 when bikes start rolling. Then all the proceeds go to the Memorial Scholarship Fund.
For more information, contact Tara Leaper at 515-408-1814. That's 515-408-1814. For KWMT from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partial sunshine in the forecast for this afternoon. We'll have high temperatures reaching the upper 70s. Then for tonight, some cloud cover and some patchy fog developing late, so low in the upper 50s. Any patchy early morning fog on Saturday gives way to a good deal of sunshine there. Low 80s for highs. And for Sunday, still lots of sun up to 85 degrees. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Carroll. Right now, it's 79.
Michael Devine. Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
Wow, really don't know what happened there, but I guess I'll have to figure it out later. Yeah, well, anyway, we're on the air with Lee Heeb. How are you, Lee?
Hey, nice to see you.
Well, it's nice to see you and nice to hear you, even though you are a white person and should be ashamed of yourself and probably shouldn't even come on this program.
Well, and I'm glad you're the mayor of Manville and not the mayor of Baltimore, by the way.
That is a good thing, isn't it? That is a good thing.
Yeah, better to be that.
Well, President Trump has gotten himself in trouble again, but he doesn't care. And that's kind of what I like about him. He stands up to these drippy people who are always over in the corner somewhere, feeling that we should all hang our head in shame and take whatever guff and nonsense the radical left thinks that we should. That we should just stand around and not call this AOC out on her nonsense or this Rashida Tlaib on her horrible nonsense. And why don't we send this Ilhan Omar back to whatever country she feels is worthy of her, because she's on her second country now and she seems to dislike our country more than she disliked Somalia. So President Trump again, and this is the really good thing, Lee, and then I'm going to give this to you. Elijah Cummings' home was burglarized the other night. So this is just awful, and that's just.
But let's look at really what President Trump did first of all, because I watched what Elijah Cummings did, and it was disgusting. I mean, if you think about it, the Border Patrol works for them. The Border Patrol are federal agents. They work for the United States government, of which Elijah Cummings is supposed to be a steward of the people and of the government. And instead of saying to the Border Patrol agent that was there, what can we do to help your situation? You've got problems. What can we do for you? He laid into this guy, called him, essentially a criminal for keeping these people in cages and babies pooping in their diapers. I mean, you had to listen to it. He was a bully. And so here's what President Trump actually said, if I can just take a minute. He said, Representative Elijah Cummings has been a brutal bully, shouting and screaming at the great men and women of the Border Patrol about conditions on the southern border, when actually his Baltimore district is far worse and more dangerous. His district is considered the worst in the U.S., as proven last week during a congressional tour. The border is clean, efficient, well-run, and very crowded. Cummings district is disgusting, rat and rodent-infested mess. If he spent more time in Baltimore, maybe he could help clean up this very dangerous and filthy place. He was exactly right. And if you watch the bully talk to the Border Patrol agent, I have no sympathy with him. And here's what the mayor of Baltimore, Catherine Pugh, said in 2018. She was making a tour, and she got caught on video. They found this. I don't know if you saw it, but they videoed her, and now it's come out because of what Cummings said, and all this backlash about how, they want to say somehow that President Trump is calling black people rats. That's not what he said, as you can see if you actually read the quote. But what she said was, you could just walking through the district. She said, no. Can you hear me? I hear something in the background.
Yeah, I know. We're having major mechanical problems here on our board here today. I don't know if somebody's been in here playing, but you're coming through loud and clear. I'm happy to say, and I apologize for these difficulties.
Okay, sorry. But anyway, so the mayor of Baltimore says, she's walking through, she said, you can smell the rats. Oh my God, you can smell the dead animals. So, and there was a big special about this. So, the first thing to say is no, okay. Trump is exactly right.
Yeah, we have a little bleed through on the microphone. I'm sorry. We'll stop talking and let you talk. Go right ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, but what I was saying is that the mayor of Baltimore said exactly what Trump said. They're rats. They smell bad. She was shocked by how badly that she could smell dead animals in Cummings district. There's no question. It's just a hellhole. But the real point is, this guy is not just a bully. He's a total fraud. I mean, if you look at this guy's been sucking off his position. I mean, this guy had like 12 kids or something and a bunch of marriages, and he was in deep debt. Okay, so he's remarried to a gal, Maya Rockmore Cummings, who has set up these corporations. And just so you understand, this is exactly what the Clintons did or are still doing probably with their Clinton Foundation when she was Secretary of State. So some company wants legislative favors from Representative Cummings. They can't give him money. That would be a bribe. But they contribute to the, quote, Center for Policy Global Policy Solutions, a nonprofit Okay, they could contribute to them, and then Cummings does what they want them to do. Presumably, that's the way it works. Now, who is the Center for Policy or Global Policy Commission? It's a nonprofit. The only officer is his wife, and then they have Global Policy Solutions LLC, which is for the for-profit. So in order for them to get the money out of the nonprofit for their personal use, they pay a management fee and all sorts of fees to Global Policy Solutions LLC. And those are hefty fees. So basically, it's a scam. And so Cummings is using his position in the Congress as legislative oversight, which is a very powerful position, to get personal money to himself through his wife. So, besides the fact that he is a member of the CPC, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which is basically a who's who of the socialist communist agenda. I mean, that's who this guy is. So we got to, at some point the truth has to come out. And I'm just so tired of having, somebody who's conservative says the sky is blue, and they just start yelling and screaming that makes you a Nazi, or they say no, it's black, and everybody knows it's black, and blah blah blah. It's unbelievable. And the other thing, if you notice, headlines in the left-wing media, the mainstream media, the headlines may not say what it says in the article because they know that most people just read the headline. On all this stuff. It's just so corrupt. It's totally corrupt.
But it's always been that way.
Believe it.
It has always been that way. I mean, we can look on the Republican side and find the same thing. The wives of powerful Senate people and congressional leaders all have great jobs in the government somewhere.
Well, now all in having great jobs. I'm not for nepotism, but honestly, that's not illegal. These are grift.
No, it isn't.
This is illegal. This Hillary Clinton and her husband pioneered this whole Clinton Foundation deal. This is a new level of scamming off the government, quite frankly. I mean, seriously, you find me a Republican that has done that, I'll change what I just said. But I haven't been able to find it. It's really a fairly recent invention of the Clintons that other people are taking up. And I don't want to be an apologist for the Republican Party. I think they have thrown away our freedom at every turn. But at least, I got to say, they're not in public calling for the violent overthrow of the government. They're not calling for Antifa to go out and take out Trump supporters. And, as far as I know,
they are, aren't they?
The party is not funding the Antifa. When Obama said he was going to have a private army, this is it. Antifa has called, this is a little off what we're going to talk about, but it's about the disingenuousness here. They're calling for armed resurrection, and they're planning on, and they have their own site, although they take the conservatives off Twitter and Facebook. They have their own hashtag to meet up, and it's going to be in Austin, Texas, September 1st.
Yeah.
They want to take out ICE, and they show ICE people in pools of blood with arrows sticking out of them.
Well, for God's sake, Lee, we are
a new level.
The President of the United States is in charge of all federal law enforcement agencies and the United States military. These people are getting to be a grave threat. They should have been dealt with in Portland when they surrounded the federal building, where ICE had some offices, and refused to let anybody in or out, and they beat up people in the streets. The president and his people are not without resources. Why haven't they done something?
Well, I don't know. And I think but I think the problem is, as we let these people get away with more and more, they get bolder and bolder.
Well, of course they do.
Yeah. And Antifa is not just a United States thing. This has been in Europe. And I don't know if I'm trying to think of the guy's name. I just wrote it down because I just heard about this, but there's a guy who wrote let me see if I can find this. It's an independent movie maker, news guy, and he's Danish American. Oh, here's his name, Michael Hansen, and he had a film that has been on Amazon for years called Killing Europe, and it's all about this. It's about how, and what he makes the point, for example, that you go to a conservative meetup somewhere, and Antifa, if they know about it, well, in Europe, he's talking about in his own in Denmark, he said they'll show up and start badgering people to the point that people are afraid to show up in public parks if they're not on the side of the leftists. And he said, we're about 15 years ahead of you people in America, but that's what's happening to you. And Antifa is not a benign organization because they make people afraid to participate. And this is the interesting thing. So his movie was 5-star rating on Amazon, but it's recently been banned. And
Been banned. Wow.
Yeah. I had a friend that came and visited me. He's a fellow spine surgeon, lifelong Democrat. I told him about Tommy Robinson's book being banned on Amazon. He said, oh, no, it isn't. That's just blah, blah, blah. I said, go and check it yourself. And he did. And he was just like, I looked at him. He was just shocked. He said, really? That's really true. Now I'm going to send him this. This movie has, and ironically, the guy's last video is killing free speech. And he says, that'll probably be banned, which is the irony of the whole thing.
You know, the Democrats have been overplaying their hand. That's how we got to this point. They just could not restrain themselves. They were so full of hatred. They had to start yelling racist at every single human being in the United States who wasn't them. Now here we are, and we don't want to hear it anymore. We actually, if you do want to keep screaming it, good idea, because it will cost you in the election. When you look at, and I'm getting off the main point now, but would you look at those debates? I mean, some of the main contenders for the Democratic nomination are telling us we need open borders, we need free health care for illegals, free university health care for illegals, and the most sensible guy in the room is a gay guy from South Bend, Indiana, who can't control his own city. This is who would lead us. This is who would lead us.
Well, but I got to tell you, and this is my point, when we say it's always been like this, I don't think so. I think we're coming down to the powers that, and a lot of this is from China and from powers that really want us taken out. That there are big global people at play here that are putting their money into the end of America. And we are being attacked on all fronts. I mean, look at this. We talked about this a little last week about this Area 51. The border now, Antifa is calling for universal armed resistance around the country. They're actually saying, go out and stop thinking, start killing. That's their new motto. This is, and on top of that, you're right. We have essentially foreigners in our Congress now calling for our border to be taken down. We have, the progressive, it's the Communist Party that owns some of these organizations, and people think that the communists don't exist, but that's not true. I mean, it's a philosophy that seems to not die, but it's a very well organized thing. And if you look at what the communists have said in their official writings, they say when people are attacking you for being a communist, call them a Nazi, call them a racist. I mean, that is their technique, and that's what we're seeing being used. So this is too organized. There's too many things happening at once. Oh, and I didn't mention the Fed trying to raise the interest rates. I mean, everything is coming on at once. And now look at China moving ships. They're talking about taking back Taiwan. What are we going to do? I don't think this is just partisan politics anymore. I think that the big money is being poured into people locally in different parties for different reasons. But the big picture is we're under a new type of globalist attack on America that is beyond Democrat and Republican.
Well, what kind of big money, or who controls this big money you're talking about?
Well, okay, what's Soros got? I've always wondered who Soros is. You try and read about who he is. There's nothing published. He keeps himself very low profile. But what he is actually, where is he putting his money? He puts his money into doing the things that benefit a globalist agenda. And for example, it's estimated the Rothschilds have 50% of the world's wealth. You can do a lot with that.
Yes, you can.
Who does Soros work for? I have a feeling. I can't prove who he works for. It's very shady, but he acts through the Democrat Party. He acts through his own organizations, and we know for a fact that they've been part of this weaponization of the third world. I mean, his son makes no bones about it, he is funding Antifa. His son Alexander is funding Antifa. And why? Why did they want to take down America? Why did he want to crash the pound years ago? Who is this guy? You know, he works for somebody that has a bigger interest than just in America. And, you know, you have a whole group of people, and I don't know, trust me, I don't have the whole, I'm not saying I have the whole picture, and I don't want to be, you know, you can call me a crazy conspiracy theorist, but as Roger Stone says, you put enough dots, the dots are so obvious that even Stevie Wonder could connect them. You know, there's a bunch of groups out there. So ask yourself, who are the Bilderbergs? Who's the Trilateral Commission? These are names that people want to associate with conspiracy theory, but the Trilateral Commission is actually a real deal with 300 members. Bill Clinton's a member. He's a Trilateral Commissioner. Every intelligence agent chief up until now has been a Trilateral Commissioner since Jimmy Carter. 300 people that meet with the Bilderbergs. They get together every year with the big money, and they make plans. And we are completely left out of it because it's a very top secret meeting. No news goes into those meetings. You know, so there's opportunity here. All I'm saying, there's opportunity for people to coordinate this kind of a thing. The UN is, you know, think about how the UN contributes. Carbon tax, what does that do? They don't care about the carbon that, by the way, that China's putting out.
They don't.
Yeah, it's only about us.
Just about us.
To shut down our means. See, you could, and I will tell you, if you want to get an inkling, I think, of who's behind all this, read this book by Peter Woods called Technocracy Rising. I think I told you about that before, but he talks about the history of this whole policy, and it's putting people in a like a non-elected board to run the world through control of energy.
Okay,
and,
did you say Peter Wood?
Yeah, Peter Woods, and it's called Technocracy Rising.
Okay. Dr. Lee.
This movement's been around for a long time, but it really got going with Zbigniew Brzezinski and David Rockefeller. I mean, he will put the dots together, and he traces the money on this thing.
All right. Dr. Lee Heeb has been our guest. She's an orthopedic surgeon and a libertarian. Lee, thank you so much.
We'll see you.
All right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
All right, here we go. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge 228. What a beautiful day, I got to tell you. But you knew that already. Our friend Janice Valentine, a local attorney, is coming up right here at AM 1400. Yes! KVFD, it's Friday.
Is it time for a new roof, or did your roof take a beating from Mother Nature? If so, here's some great advice from Hahn Roofing. When you're trying to decide on a contractor, never tolerate high-pressure sales tactics. Never sign a contract without a price. Never make a payment until your job is done. And never accept a job that is not installed to manufacturer specifications. No warranty, no deal. Make the right choice. Call Hahn Roofing today at 515-573-7440. That's 515-573-7440. Hahn Roofing, an Owens Corning Platinum contractor.
Congratulations to Good Samaritan Society Manson on their recent 5-star rating awarded by the Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Good Samaritan Manson received a perfect 5-star rating for their outstanding health inspection results, staffing ratios, and quality of care. Their compassionate and dedicated team of employees sets them apart from other senior living centers in the area. To learn more, visit good-sam.com or drop by anytime. Good Samaritan Society Manson, when someone you care about needs caring for.
This is a cow whose milk became everyone's favorite cheese at the craft fair. But cheese only lasts so long. The impression a small business makes needs to last much longer. That's why Vistaprint is offering 500 truly personalized business cards starting at $9.99. Choose from hundreds of fresh designs tailored to your type of company, or upload your own. The choice is yours. The time is now. Get 500 business cards starting at $9.99 with promo code 9696. That's promo code 9696 at Vistaprint.com. Vistaprint. Own the now.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KWMT news update, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa, the state agency director who was dismissed 6 weeks ago says he's taken legal action to clear his name and to send a message to his former employees in the Department of Human Services. Jerry Foxhoven held a news conference yesterday morning.
Initially, I just wanted to move on, just get out and move on. And then I think there was all this innuendo from the governor's office and so forth that made it look like I did something wrong. It goes back to those 4,000 people. They needed to hear from me. I didn't do anything wrong, and that I stood by what I asked them to stand by, which was follow the rules and do the right thing.
Governor Reynolds has said she wanted the agency to move in a different direction. And on Monday, Reynolds said Foxhoven had not raised any concerns about using agency money to continue paying the salary of a member of her staff. Foxhoven says he first tried to speak with the governor.
Several months before this occurred, I sent her the governor a text asking to meet with her and talk to her privately, and said it could be very short, and I never even got a response to it.
He says he did discuss the matter with the governor's chief of staff shortly before he was terminated.
The bottom line is I had a phone conversation with her, and I made it very clear that I questioned whether it was legal or not.
Foxhoven says the legislature set aside money to pay for a new staff member in the governor's office, and he was concerned he lacked the authority to divert money from DHS operations to continue paying a member of the governor's staff.
If they're saying that they're denying that I told them I had concerns about that and that I was going to the Attorney General's office, then they're not telling the truth.
Foxhoven's lawyer will first file a claim with the Iowa Appeals Board, alleging that his client was retaliated against and forced from his job because he was a whistleblower. His attorney says it's unlikely the state will offer a settlement, and he expects to file a lawsuit against the governor, her chief of staff, her legal counsel, and the state of Iowa in early 2020. Governor Reynolds has said Foxhoven was dismissed for a lot of reasons, and she wants the agency to go in a new direction. Foxhoven, who is an attorney, says he's looking for his own next adventure working for a nonprofit group. The Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program will be having its third annual Teed Off Against Violence golf tournament fundraiser tomorrow at Lakeside Municipal Golf Course here in Fort Dodge. The tournament also will feature a silent auction. It'll have a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Here's Marie Harvey from the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program on the objective of the event.
The whole goal is to raise funds and awareness that benefit the Homicide and Other Violent Crimes program. We serve 15 counties in north central Iowa, and so the money that we raise goes back to providing services for survivors that have been affected by homicide or any other violent crime.
For more information or to register, call Marie or Heather at 515-955-5677. That's 515-955-5677. The fifth annual Leapers Legacy Memorial Ride in memory of Jordan Leaper will be tomorrow. Registrations from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at Gridiron in Webster City. Kickstands up at 11 a.m. It's $20 for single rider, $30 per couple. Stops will include Webster City, Lehigh, Luther, Ziering, Williams, and Clarion. There'll be silent and live auctions and raffles. All proceeds will go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund. Here's Brian Dayton with the Memorial Ride on Jordan's legacy.
5 years ago, Jordan Leaper was killed in a car accident. We're continuing on his legacy. We're going to end at Fuel in Clarion with food and DJ entertainment. That's where we're going to have a live and silent auction. All the proceeds go to the Jordan Leaper Memorial Scholarship Fund, and also there's money that's donated to Upper Des Moines for underprivileged youth. Jordan was an employee at Fuller Hall. He loved his job. He's good at it. Always had a smile on his face. If you can't make the ride, at least try and make it to Fuel. It should be about 5:30 when bikes start rolling. Then all the proceeds go to the Memorial Scholarship Fund.
For more information, contact Tara Leaper at 515-408-1814. That's 515-408-1814. For KWMT from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice Fort Dodge 235. I'm Michael Devine with the weather. Sunny today, high 80, exactly where we are right now. Overnight, partly cloudy with a low of 59. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 83. Sunday, it'll be sunny with a high of 85. Monday, sunny with a high of 85. Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high of 82. Wednesday, sunny with a high of 82. And on Thursday, mostly sunny with a high of 80 degrees. Right now in Fort Dodge, it's a beautiful 80 degrees. I'm talking 80 degrees and an absolutely gorgeous day, ladies and gentlemen. So there you go. All right. Let's see. Oh, you know something? We have someone on the phone with us. Yes, it's our old friend Janice Valentine.
Michael Devine and Janice Valentine now at AM 1400 KVFD.
I should have one of those things made that says "Now the Fabulous Janice." It would be more appropriate. How you doing there, Janice?
Well, I'm fabulous, but it sounds like I'm old. You said old friend. Am I old already?
No. Just as in years that we've known each other. I mean, I don't even know how many years you've been on the radio with me now. I begged you for 2 years before that, but I'm glad. And now you've been on for a while, so I'll just say our fabulous friend in the future. Janice Valentine is an attorney in Fort Dodge, practicing primarily in workers' compensation and personal injury. There is no fee for first consultation. You may contact Janice Valentine by calling 515-955-5544 at 415 the Boston Center, 809 Central Avenue, Fort Dodge, or at www.valentinelaw.net and at jvalentine@valentinelaw.net. She is former president of the Iowa Trial Lawyers Association. Did you whip them into shape when you were president of the Iowa Trial Lawyers Association, Janice?
Absolutely.
Way to go.
Yes, we did.
Okay, I'm gonna get into an area that's kind of up your alley. This Jerry Foxhoven guy wants to sue the governor. Wants to sue the governor. Do you know Jerry Foxhoven or not?
I have met him on a few occasions. I would imagine if I walked in the room, he probably wouldn't know me. So we do not know each other well.
He'd probably. You're fabulous. He couldn't forget you, could he? I mean, if he met you once, that's just it. or not. I don't know. We'd have to check with you.
Maybe, I don't know.
yeah. Who knows? But Jerry Foxhoven, 65-year-old head of the Department of Health and Human Services in the state of Iowa. Big job, all kinds of employees, huge budget. Tupac Shakur fan, 65-year-old white-haired man. A little weird, but what do I know? Governor Reynolds fired him, in essence, because he said he had a problem with Governor Reynolds cost shifting. Now, by that I mean, and I'm setting this up for Janice, of course. By that I mean the Department of Human Services in Iowa. I said Health and Human Services before, but I think it's just Human Services now. All the states get some money for their Human Services Department from the federal government. What the state of Iowa was doing, Governor Reynolds more specifically was doing, was taking some of the money the federal government gave DHS to employ one of her cabinet members, a personal friend, as a matter of fact. Now Governor Reynolds, and I've checked into this, and she's right. Governor Reynolds says this had been something that was going on in the state of Iowa since the Vilsack administration. And from what I understand, it's been going around the country quite a bit as well. This sort of thing, this cost shifting stuff, taking federal money and spending it to employ a couple of pals. That's just part of the world we live in, I guess. And Jerry Foxhoven apparently signed off on a memorandum of understanding twice that he approved of this sort of thing. Now, apparently, he has problems. Reynolds fired him, and he wants to sue. Does he have any leg to stand on?
Well, with the little facts that we know, I would certainly say there's enough smoke there to make some argument that there's fired. I do know Tom Duff, his attorney, very well, who also happens to represent Larry Hedlund here in town. But fabulous attorney. Yeah, he's a very good attorney. I can't imagine that Tom would take a case that didn't have all the markers of being successful, because he doesn't get paid if you don't succeed, and you can only take so many failures, and still keep the lights on. So I would like to think that his evaluation, knowing a lot more than you and I do sitting here, has presented enough facts for him to say, yes, let's move forward with this. It's been a troubling run here right now for taxpayers and lawsuits. It's like we're going to have another line item on and lawsuits that are being raised, and I think that the administration needs to take a look at that. I'm not saying they may have a basis that's legitimate for terminating Jerry's employment, and if so, I would be bragging about that.
I guess I misspoke here, Janice. Jerry Foxhoven resigned. He was an employee at and he resigned.
Yeah, I think that was, wasn't it kind of the wink, wink, nod, nod resignation? Like,
Yeah, they really wanted him out. Yeah.
Yeah, you can either resign or we fire you.
Yeah,
I think
that
that's
sort of
probably
thing,
how
yeah.
that went down.
Probably so.
But yes, I think that, you know, as taxpayers, we're kind of tired of this, and the state has not got a good track record right now going. We're funding a whole lot of attorneys, so even as an attorney, I'm not comfortable with that. I would rather have our money go towards infrastructure or education,
or to me.
Well, I take it. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. This is another question, and I ask you this with the Chris Godfrey thing: how can high-level government people discharge others like Jerry Foxhoven without some sort of retaliation? Maybe the governor found her employee at will, and Jerry Foxhoven was an employee at will. She didn't like him. She didn't like his face. Under employee at will, and you know this better than most of us, you can be fired for anything. You can be fired for no reason at all. An employee at will is horribly anti-worker. I can't think of what. Iowa may be the worst state for workers in the union, with the exception of Mississippi. But that is a rock bottom Republican principle that they will fight to the last man or woman before they ever give up. But that's the world that we live in, employee at will. So if Jerry Foxhoven is employee at will, why is he suing?
Well, because even if you're an employee at will, there are certain barriers to being able to be terminated. You cannot be terminated because of your color. You cannot be terminated because of your religious preference.
Right.
And there's another exception that's called public policy. That's another exception to the at will. And I don't know this for certain, but I would imagine Jerry's lawsuit could fall under the Whistleblower Act, which is an act separate from the at-will employment statute that says, hey, if you call to the attention bad actors and get fired because you brought them out into the light and you're terminated because of that, you have a separate cause of action under this Whistleblower Act to bring an action and recover. So I would imagine his case, just as it's been described in the paper so far, would be falling under that Whistleblower Act in terms of him bringing to the attention. To me, again, based on what has been presented, if they would have let him get the legal opinion, who knows? The legal opinion may have said, yeah, you can go ahead and do this. And Jerry would have gone ahead and done it. So if they would have just waited for that legal opinion, we probably wouldn't be in this situation in my estimation. However, it sounds like there is enough fear, apparently, as to what that legal opinion might be, or maybe there is enough animosity about the fact that he even questioned to get a legal opinion that they felt that he wasn't a team player anymore and wanted him out.
Just as an aside, I hope Larry Hedlund sticks it to him too. That's just outrageous what happened to him. You know, I know Larry Hedlund. We're not friends or anything. We've never even had a cup of coffee together. I just know him because he lives in Fort Dodge. And
he's a stand-up guy.
Yeah, he is a stand-up guy. But the idea that he was fired by some twerp in the Branstad administration for reporting that once again Governor Branstad's SUV was going 90 miles an hour down Highway 20. By the way, did you know Tom Vilsack used to get tickets every now and then for the same reason? He'd get out of the car. He'd get out of the car and have his picture taken with the trooper holding the ticket.
Yeah, I think
kind of a different attitude.
There were badges of honor. I think I'm not sure, but I mean, that's part of being a public servant is following the rules. And 90. I would maybe look the other way at 75.
Yeah.
But 90 is starting to put public safety at issue.
Well, I think 75 is the speed limit on Highway 20, at least as far as I'm concerned.
I was going to say, now, don't mislead your listeners. It's actually really 65. But I'm with you. Sometimes I call the speed limit just a recommendation. I mean,
yeah, that's right. Janice Valentine is our guest here at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I have to ask you, we're going to change focus entirely. Are you ready for another 4 years of Donald Trump? Because the Democrats are killing themselves on the debate stage. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. Donald Trump couldn't do that much damage to the Democratic Party in his life. And here they are criticizing Barack Obama. Not Donald Trump, Barack Obama. And here are these two crazy old people screaming about health care and a university education for illegals. I mean, are they crazy? And then Marianne Williamson is the star of the night with her call to conscience. However, who is Marianne Williamson? She's a motivational speaker and kind of guru, one of those, channeler women or whatever it is. I've never seen anything like it. I've been.
Go ahead.
No, I can't go ahead because if I just get going too fast and my head explodes. What are you people doing?
I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for not watching a single second of either night of debate.
Because you knew your head would explode. Your head would explode and you knew it.
The recap that I've gotten on Facebook and even from the staunchest of Democrats has just made me laugh because apparently it was, well, I can't say that word on the radio, but it was not good.
Horrendous.
And I can't imagine what they're thinking. Again, we talked about this last week. You'd like to think they have people, but apparently their people are as crazy as they are. And it's not boding well for any success of the Democratic Party in 2020. And to answer your initial question, I would prefer not another 4 years of Donald Trump. But after seeing or hearing about these last 2 nights of debates, I'm not sure we're going to get any improvement. So I think we need to all take a step back and on both sides of the fence and make a realization that the way things are going right now is not going to be workable. I don't get it.
I had high hopes for Elizabeth Warren. They were dashed. She talked about having big ideas and that we shouldn't back away from big ideas, which sounds good. And I would agree with that. But if big ideas are open borders and health care for everybody in the whole world,
that's just never going to fly.
That's never going to go. It's impossible. Where's the money going to come from? It's
right.
impossible.
And we can't have free college for everybody. I mean, we can, but then that means we're not going to have something else. And that's the difficulty. I think these grandiose ideas of free whatever, let's keep in mind, first of all, nothing's free. There is no free education. There is no free health care. It's not free. It's just how you're going to cover it in a different way. I think if we could get somebody in there with measured ideas about, hey, let's step to the middle in looking at some sort of way to improve the immigration system to facilitate getting people through the system quicker. There's an idea I think more people can get behind because we do need a workforce, and we're fine with people coming through the borders legally. So I would say for the most part. Now we have the fringes, of course, that are not going to be okay with that. But I think that there's so many workable solutions towards the middle if somebody would just be brave enough to say them out loud. But right now it's just kind of a shouting match, and it's just crazy town.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you heard that or not, but our friend Janice Valentine, the fabulous Janice, just got in touch with her inner Republican. Did you hear that? Personal responsibility, all these things. I'll tell you what, I have advocated for quite a long time that we make free education through trade school. The world has changed since 100 years ago when we decided that, yes, public education was a necessity. And as we move forward, yes, a high school diploma was a must. We now are in a time when, well, not everybody wants or needs an undergraduate degree. For God's sake, there's great jobs at Bemrick Electric. There's great jobs at plumbing companies, bricklaying companies, everywhere. Heavy equipment companies, on and on and on and on. We should make technical training available at the public expense for, 14 years of education rather than 12. What's wrong with that idea?
I could probably get behind that.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot to be said for, well, look, most schools, as my understanding, most schools don't have shop class anymore, or what we used to call home ec.
Yeah.
Or, we need a life skills class to tell people how these things are done. I've always thought we should have, how do you get a loan? How do you balance a checkbook? How do you do all those types
All
of things
those things. You're absolutely right.
How do you do laundry? I mean,
Yes.
I just think those types of skills would be very helpful. And obviously not totally addressing what you're talking about, but yeah, I would have no issue with saying, hey, if you want to be an electrician, a plumber, anything in the trades, that's huge, because we all know that's a very necessary part of our existence. And my understanding from the people that are in those areas, it's dwindling in terms of the numbers. They don't have access to the people that they need.
I left home at
So,
18. I left home at 18 and I'm sorry, I left home at 18 and the only thing I could make myself for breakfast was toast. And that got old pretty fast, So I'm
You're
proud
a step ahead of my dad.
Well, yeah, but I'm proud to say that my son is a good cook and he likes to cook and he can cook a lot of things, and that's because of me. That's because I insisted on it, and he dived right in there and he got it done. Now, I never had daughters, but I have granddaughters, and if I'm still around, I'll make sure they know how to change the oil in their car and change a tire. That's all. Just change the oil. Know how this works. This is just a simple internal combustion machine. No reason for you to be afraid of it. It's not some province that only men understand. It's just an internal combustion machine, and this is how you change the tire. That's it. That's all you need.
Well, and show them where the washer fluid is, and show them what a
There you go.
real dirty air filter looks like and what a not so dirty air filter looks like. Because when you're a female and you go and get your oil changed, believe me, they want to sell you an air filter every
time.
single time.
And you can get one for like $10 at an auto parts store, but they'll charge you $50. I've run into it before. It's an outrage. Ladies and gentlemen, damn me for a feminist, if you will, but I think women are capable of filling their own gas tank and changing their own tire. I know I'm pretty radical out there in the fringe, but I think women can handle it. There we go.
I've done it.
I'm sure that you have. I am so old anymore, Janice, that I actually had gun safety class in school. Wow.
Oh my.
Yeah, gun safety class. That's quite an idea, isn't it? Anyway, Janice,
Now do you say that? We had that through 4-H, which seems kind of foreign right now too. But yeah, we had a 4-H class on that.
Well, I still don't see the harm in it, especially if you live in rural Iowa. When we were taught gun safety class, we were taught to shoot varmints. If a raccoon gets in the yard or something like that, or you need to scare off a rabid dog in your neighborhood or something. We weren't taught gun safety class so we could shoot other people. It was never.
Well, absolutely. But I also think it's helpful just to know how a gun operates, so you respect it. I mean, and I think that that's an important part. I don't care if you don't want to shoot one. That's fine.
That's fine.
But you should know how it works and how to use one in the event you would ever need to use one.
I will tell you this: the first thing I taught my son about guns, and the first thing the Marine Corps will tell their recruits is a gun has one function. That's to kill something. That's to kill. You must respect that. This weapon you have is not a fork. It's not a fork. It's not an inner tube. This thing can kill you or somebody else. So you respect that. And I think for the most part, if you're taught that, you will respect it.
I agree.
Anyway, back to the Democrats and their craziness. And I realize the Republicans and Trump probably look a little crazy too. But I think I hope we can urge the Democratic Party on behalf of the United States of America not to be crazier than Trump. I mean, Trump is a traveling carnival. Sometimes they even enjoy him, but the act is getting a little old. So we don't need the curtain to rise on a whole cast full of new crazy people. And frankly, they look crazy up there. I mean, the only non-crazy one is old Joe Biden. And I mean old Joe Biden because he looks old. I mean, he is old. He's 79 years old. He's 79 years old. And I frankly don't, I'm concerned about a man's health who's that age. Can he serve? Does he have this stamina that's required to do the job? Maybe he does. I don't know. Maybe he's in better shape than I am, which wouldn't be too tough to do. But
well, and I just think I kind of am milquetoast on him just because he's been there and done that. We we've kind of had him already.
Yeah.
And so I just don't know if he's going to be the guy either. So far, it's just been, like I said, it's just been crazy town. And let's hope somebody surfaces that has some actual ideas that aren't so far one way or the other that just won't sell to the public in general.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. Kamala Harris, I had great hopes for her as well. I really think the Democrats want to nominate a woman. Okay, I mean, that's not top of the heap for me. But if that's what they want, Kamala Harris, to my mind, would have been a good pick. She has the necessary physical and personal chemistry. She really does. She looks great up there. She's very confident. She's very passionate. So naturally, the Democrats had to knock her out of the ring. I just can't believe what I'm saying. Anyway, Janice Valentine has been our guest. She's an attorney here in town, and you can reach her over at Valentine Law Office, 809 Central Avenue. Thank you, Janice.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up with the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Iowa farmers are continually striving to improve the quality of our land so future generations can continue farming these acres. And it starts by working together to incorporate more sustainable practices in our fields. The Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship works with farmers and landowners to implement proven conservation practices that protect water quality and improve soil health. Farmers can sign up now for funding to help offset the cost of trying a water quality focused conservation practice like cover crops. Apply now through your local soil and water conservation office.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
Grandma, this card asks, when did you get a TV and what was your favorite show?
I think around 1950, they had a Fort Dodge TV station that had a local barn dance show every Saturday night. Oh, honey, it was so much fun. They'd play instruments. We would sing and dance.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most isn't just important today. It will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Ann Meyer, Representative Ann Meyer, is next. Obituaries this hour brought to us by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. James and Linda Gottschalk passed away within 20 hours of each other at their home. James died on the 24th of July, and Linda died on Thursday, the 25th. Funeral services will be held next Monday at St. Paul Lutheran Church for James and Linda Gottschalk, and that'll be at 10 in the morning. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Yeah, it's 3 o'clock. News is coming up.
I'm Dave Ramsey. Join me every Monday through Friday afternoon from 5 to 8 p.m. on AM 1400 KVFD Fort Dodge.
Rough end of the week on Wall Street. Lisa Brady, Fox News. The Dow down 110 points at the closing bell, the fourth loss in a row as the trade dispute with China gets much of the blame for a second day after President Trump announced more tariffs yesterday.
China upping the ante on this. In fact, the Chinese today saying that they will impose countermeasures if those tariffs go into effect. Our Chinese sources saying that China refuses to add back any of the language into the agreement that had concessions in it.
Fox Business Network's Edward Lawrence.
The Chinese also told U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, according to sources, they will not change their laws to protect the intellectual property. Our sources also say that the directive to departments in Beijing is to start decoupling from the reliance on the U.S., and that means buying items from other sources or make it in China.
President Trump argues the tariffs will eventually wear China down. But in the meantime, U.S. farmers and ranchers are among those hurting.
The great patriots of American agriculture. These are indeed patriots. They're always targeted first by other countries to try and take advantage of the United States.
The president announcing a new deal with the EU aimed at boosting U.S. beef exports to Europe. President Trump's pick for Director of National Intelligence, Texas Congressman John Ratcliffe, drops out of the running less than a week after the president said he would be the nominee.
In a series of tweets, the president blames media coverage for Ratcliffe being treated very unfairly and says months of slander would be miserable for the congressman and his family. Ratcliffe says he's asked his name to be withdrawn. There were doubts about Senate confirmation of Ratcliffe after reports he padded his resume and questions raised about partisanship. The current director of national intelligence, Dan Coates, has announced he's leaving the office later this month.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Trump predicting the North Korean leader will ultimately do the right thing as he downplays recent missile launches.
The president tweeting about North Korea's recent testing of 3 short-range missiles. The president writing, "These missile tests are not a violation of our signed Singapore agreement, nor was there discussion of short-range missiles when we shook hands. These may be a United Nations violation, but Chairman Kim does not want to disappoint me with a violation."
John Decker at the White House, which insists the goal remains denuclearization. A California man accused of making threats that apparently referenced last weekend's deadly shooting at a food festival in Gilroy. Police say the 40-year-old suspect had posted online that his goal is to kill 500, not 3. He was arrested, but police say no weapons were seized and they don't think he was planning an attack. The motive in the festival shooting remains under investigation. That gunman was killed by police after he killed 3 people and wounded 13. American rapper A$AP Rocky heading home from Sweden, at least for now, even before the verdict in his assault trial.
The judge in this trial says a verdict will be announced on August 14th. In the meantime, the rapper is free to go. The president tweeting out the news. A$AP Rocky released from prison and on his way home to the United States from Sweden. It was a rocky week. Get home ASAP. A$AP. In Sweden, 2 eyewitnesses to the fight that landed him in court stepped up, saying they never saw the rapper strike the alleged victim. A$AP is accused of severely injuring a 19-year-old with a bottle. Prosecutors say this proves excessive force. Rocky admitted Thursday he picked up a bottle but denied he ever threw it.
Fox's Michelle Polino. The rapper also testified he tried to avoid the confrontation, but that his entourage was followed and attacked. Recapping the sell-off on Wall Street, could have been worse. In the end, the Dow down about 98 points. Lisa Brady, this is Fox
News. Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KWMT News Update, I'm Rob Jones. From Radio Iowa, the state agency director who was dismissed 6 weeks ago says he's taken legal action to clear his name and to send a message to his former employees in the Department of Human Services. Jerry Foxhoven held a news conference yesterday morning.
Initially, I just wanted to move on, just get out and move on. And then I think there was all this innuendo from the governor's office and so forth that made it look like I did something wrong. It goes back to those 4,000 people. They needed to hear from me. I didn't do anything wrong, and that I stood by what I asked them to stand by, which was follow the rules and do the right thing.
Governor Reynolds has said she wanted the agency to move in a different direction. And on Monday, Reynolds said Foxhoven had not raised any concerns about using agency money to continue paying the salary of a member of her staff. Foxhoven says he first tried to speak with the governor.
Several months before this occurred, I sent the governor a text asking to meet